as underwater photographers, photojournalists really, we're documenting a time and a place that in the future may not be there. And the clock is moving.
The first photographs I shot, the assignment for National Geographic, 1960, I took a total of 7 or 8 frames on 2 1/4 square film, on Ektachrome film, and butted them together. It was the first underwater color panorama ever done on the reefs. And this, when I came back in 1989, the beautiful barrier reef forest went to hell.
Now I'm looking around and saying, well, what happened here? It's not so far off from what happened 65 million years ago.
Extinction is often being driven by direct human activity, things like habitat destruction or overfishing. And then there's global climate change, which is happening in a different way. So we have these sort of dual things, like the direct hand of man and the indirect hand of man in the change of climate.
Climate is controlled by the oceans. The oceans are the big guy, they're in control. And the oceans now are slowly changing. And that is the danger we face today. A mass extinction is driven by a change of the environment. And we are changing the environment precisely along the lines that can trigger off one of these great catastrophes. There's been 5 mass extinctions, and they've had different causes, but there's been one common factor in all: a massive increase in carbon dioxide. And you've never had a carbon dioxide spike like it's happening now.
We are burning through fossil fuels laid down over hundreds of millions of years, really reversing geological history, basically, and we're doing it really, really fast.
In the Gulf oil spill, about 4.9 million barrels of oil was spilled. That represents about 1/4 of what we use every single day in the US.
You look at an event like the Gulf oil spill, and you think, this is the biggest environmental catastrophe in America ever. But that spill is nothing compared to the damage caused by us doing everyday things we don't even think about. And I'm more guilty than anyone. The worst thing you can do to the environment is make a film about it.
This looks really cool.
We did a carbon assessment of the first 2 years of production, and I was horrified at how much energy it takes to do what I do.
Sweet. We're gonna turn this one on.
We're at the point where we're making our lives a lot better for us. But we're doing it at the expense of everything going forward. We have many, many ways to fix this problem. The question is, are we going to do it fast enough?
What we know at the moment is we're driving this out of control, and the ocean's chemistry is changing really rapidly, scarily fast. When we put carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, it doesn't all stay there. Between 1/3 and 1/2 gets absorbed by the oceans.
The CO2 reacts with water to form something called carbonic acid. And each year the ocean becomes more and more acidic.
If you want to know what that does, get a seashell and drop it in, a glass of vinegar. A whole variety of creatures will simply dissolve into the acid ocean that we have created.
There's massive death in the oceans. It's already started. Oh, it's not just started, it's well on the way.
Those are larvae?
Yeah. See the brown
smudge.
Yep. Each year we harvest 7 to 10 billion oyster larvae that we send out to growers throughout the Pacific Northwest. I still remember the day all of the larvae essentially in our entire hatchery were on the bottom of the tanks. So 6 billion larvae all died in a single day.
And that deep ocean water off the coast of Washington and Oregon comes into the hatchery intakes. They can't grow their shell. It's dissolving faster than they can grow it.
It seemed outlandish to think that the ocean could be acidified enough to cause us these kind of problems. It just seemed like something for the distant future and nothing we ever had to pay attention to.
The rate of change that we're seeing in the ocean and the change that it's going to create in our food chain, it's going to be dramatic, and it's going to be in our lifetimes. The things that we're used to eating may not be available anymore, and we may need to transition to, eating jellyfish or something like that. Start a new trend.